Hello everybody, this is John from John's Home Restaurant and Tavern. Growing up, my mama cooked this dish that was called, what she said was Slumgullion. Okay, it sounds weird, I get it. Well, I've done some research the last few days. Slumgullion is a real thing. It's actually, if you look it up, it's American goulash. Now a lot of times, my mama would make it with rice, but traditionally it's made with elbow macaroni. My brother and I both grew up eating it, generally, like I said, with rice. But today we're going to make it, and there's going to be a few twists to it. I'm going to be using this. We've had this in our prepper closet, Keystone ground beef. I've never used this in my life. And I never use jarred garlic, but we've had this in the prepper closet, getting close to being out of date, so we're gonna use this in place of fresh. I always use fresh. We've got an onion chopped up, small onion, a little bit of celery, just because I have some celery in the refrigerator. Tomato sauce, petite diced tomatoes, beef broth, seasonal, cheddar cheese, and elbow macaroni. We've got a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, a teaspoon of sweet paprika, and a half a teaspoon of oregano, and a half a teaspoon of basil, and tomato paste. So we're going to get started. I've got my skillet heating up. Here, a little bit of olive oil in here. And we're going to go ahead and soften the onions and the celery. Okay, we're fixing to add a couple of teaspoons of garlic. And like I said, I never use jarred garlic. I always use fresh, but this came out of the prepper closet. We're using it because the date's getting close, so we're going to get rid of it. And cook that just a couple of minutes, or a minute. And then I'm going to go in, as that's cooking, I'm going to go in with some tomato paste. And probably use a couple of tablespoons of it. I love this in the tube. All right, this is where we're going into the unknown world, since I've never used this before. What's great about this, if you can see, there's two ingredients, beef and sea salt. So this is cooked, packaged. So you got the ground beef, you've got the fat from it, whatever liquid is with it. No preservatives added. Like I said, first time we've ever used this. I have used their beef, it's like a roast beef in a can, once, and it was surprisingly good.
Looks like ground beef.
Yeah. We actually, when I first opened it, my wife and I actually tasted it right out of the can. It's different than fresh ground beef, definitely. But, hey, if you've got it in your prepper closet, if you have to use it, it's something to eat. It's good. But it did taste pretty decent.
Tasted like ground beef.
Yeah, tasted like ground beef.
Unseasoned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're adding the Worcestershire sauce, this paprika, and the oregano and basil. We'll give that a little stir. And meanwhile, before I did that, I had skimmed off some of the grease off of here. It's smelling pretty good for beef that came out of a can, ground beef out of a can. It really does smell pretty good. We're going to add in a little seasonal. Now I'm just going to eyeball this. Just shake a little bit in. I don't want to add too much because the meat already had salt in it. Okay, we're going to add a can of petite diced tomatoes. And a can, 1 can, 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. Give this a stir. Okay, we're fixing to add in our beef broth. This is 2.5 cups of beef broth. And it looks pretty liquidy right now, but you got to remember, I'm going to be adding in a 1-pound bag of elbow macaroni. So by the time that cooks, it's going to absorb a lot of this. I'm going to turn the heat up, get this up to a boil. When it comes to a boil, we'll be adding in our elbow macaroni. Okay, I tasted it a while ago, and I think I'm going to add just a little bit of ketchup to it to add just a touch of sweetness, as well as thicken it a little bit. And I'm not sure, but if I remember, my mama probably used ketchup in hers when she made hers. Of course, this is not quite like mama's, but it's my rendition. You can go online, there's a lot of different ways you can make this. If you can get past the word Slumgullion. Okay, this is boiling, so I'm fixing to add the pasta and elbow macaroni to it.
Would you say this is a 1-pot meal?
Yeah. I'm going to stir this before I add the rest of the pasta. And I'm using a 1-pound bag of pasta. All right. Now, we're going to let this, we'll reduce the heat in a minute, and we're going to let it cook about 10 or 15 minutes until the pasta is done. And when the pasta is done, we'll cut it off, we'll sprinkle the cheese on top, put the lid on, let it set about 10 minutes for the cheese to melt. So we're going to let this come back up to a good boil. The other night, I was, me and my wife sitting on the couch, and we happened to be watching a video that I did of stuffed bell peppers. Well, on the video, it shows me the stuffing I was making for the peppers, the beef, and the rice and everything, and I told my wife, I said, that looks like Slumgullion. My wife looked at me and just busted out laughing. She thought I'd made up a word, Slumgullion. I didn't make up the word. And she kept laughing, and I said, no, Mama used to make a dish and she called it Slumgullion. So my wife looked it up online and she told me it's a real thing. So that's just kind of, to me, a funny story that...
And now I get to have some.
Right. So...
Looks good.
Yeah, I cooked this for like 4 minutes with the lid on, but I want to reduce some of the liquid. So the last 6 minutes, and I may have to go a few more minutes than 6 to get the macaroni done. It's starting to thicken up, so I think I'm going to put the lid back on it for a little while. the macaroni is now al dente, so I'm going to cut the heat off, sprinkle a little cheese, sharp cheddar cheese on top of it, and what we'll do here, since the heat's off, put the cheese on it. We're going to cover it and let it set about 10 minutes or so until the cheese melts. Then we'll come back and we'll serve up a bowl and we'll tell you what it tastes like. All right, we've let it set about 10 minutes. And this is what it looks like. So we're going to serve up a bowl. Some people call this chili mac or beef and mac. A lot of names for it.
You said you had it with rice?
Yeah, my mama used to make this mostly with rice, but like I said, if you look online, what you find is it's done with macaroni. But like I said, me and my brother grew up mostly with it being done with rice, which we love the rice. Anyhow, we ate a lot of rice growing up. And also, we're going to serve this tonight with some bread that my wife made. It's a jalapeno cheddar bread with ham in it, and it's really good. She's toasted some with some garlic butter on it, and so that's what we're going to have, and we'll fix and do a taste test and tell you what it tastes like. Okay, we're fixing to give this a taste, see how it is. Make sure I got some of that beef in here. That's really
Surprisingly good.
That's surprisingly good. Like I said, that canned ground beef, Keystone ground beef, is really good. I do believe with fresh ground beef it would be better, but hey, if you've got it in your pantry, a quick, easy meal to fix. A lot of things you can do with it.
So would you try it again with rice?
I would try it again with rice. I think that would probably be my preference.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is really good, surprisingly.
So thanks to your mama.
Yeah, for the Slumgullion. This is not exactly how she made it. I don't know how exactly she made it. Probably with leftover stuff she had, but it's really good. You need to give this a try. If you enjoyed this, please hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.